You've felt it before, haven't you? That sharp discomfort in your gut when someone talks about women in a way that strips them of their complexity? That half-spoken thought you didn't dare finish because it sounded too harsh, too honest, or too dark? And maybe, somewhere in that quiet corner of your mind, you've wondered if the entire dialogue around gender is built on polite illusions, designed more to protect comfort than truth. Schopenhauer didn't believe in illusions, especially not the ones we wrap around gender. He didn't offer euphemisms. He dissected. He provoked. He disturbed. And in doing so, he gave voice to one of the most unapologetically raw and deeply uncomfortable views on women in Western philosophy. This isn't a celebration, it's an autopsy, not of women, but of a philosophy, of an old wound in the human psyche, one that bleeds in silence. You see, Schopenhauer wasn't angry at women the way some modern internet rage machines are. His contempt wasn't personal, it was metaphysical. To him, women weren't wrong because they were morally corrupt. They were wrong because they represented something he couldn't accept about life itself, its endless cycle of desire, reproduction, and suffering. He saw the female body not as beauty, but as betrayal, because where you might see nurture, he saw nurture's cunning. In his eyes, the woman is the will to life personified, a vessel through which the blind, brutal force of existence perpetuates itself, dragging human beings back into the trap of becoming. And in that view, she isn't evil, she's inevitable. That's far more haunting. You can hear the disgust in his words when he talks about how women are short-sighted, more concerned with appearance than truth, more inclined to manipulate than confront. And yet, even in his disdain, there's a strange kind of surrender. He doesn't accuse women of choosing to be what they are. He accuses life of making them this way, out of necessity. It's easier to dismiss him as just another bitter misogynist. And maybe he was. But if you stop there, you miss the deeper fear underneath his rage. The fear that existence itself is a trap, that desire is a con, that love is a sedative designed by biology to make you submit to your fate. And women, to him, were the beautiful messengers of that submission. Let that sit with you, because when you strip away the politeness of modern discourse, when you really look at what he was trying to say, you'll see that he wasn't talking just about women, he was talking about you, about your weaknesses, your compulsions, your inability to resist what hurts you, your craving for comfort, beauty, connection, even when you know it's temporary. Schopenhauer hated the parts of women that mirrored those truths back at him. He despised the seduction of the present moment. He loathed the smile that promises warmth and the body that promises future, not because he didn't want them, but because he did. And he believed that wanting was the root of all suffering. In a world where desire governs every move, Schopenhauer wanted escape. But nature doesn't negotiate. It gives you instincts, not choices. You're born into craving, and women, he thought, are the enablers of that craving, not by malice, by design. Think about the way people talk about female charm. She's magnetic, they say. She knows how to get what she wants. But what does she want? According to Schopenhauer, she doesn't even need to know. Her biology knows for her. It seeks safety, status, and continuity, and it doesn't care about the philosophical implications. That's where he draws the line. Men, he argues, are designed to create art, thought, society. Women to preserve bodies, bloodlines, routine. It's not fair. It's not kind, but in his eyes, it's true. And for a man who thought truth was more important than hope, that was enough. But where does that leave you? If you're a woman, you might feel enraged or simply tired of hearing the same accusations again and again from men who don't understand the weight of living inside a body that's always under scrutiny. If you're a man, you might feel validated or ashamed or both, because some part of you might agree with him, even if you never say it out loud. This isn't about agreement, this is about honesty. You've seen relationships fall apart over unspoken expectations. You've watched men build empires to impress women they secretly resent. You've watched women smile through conversations that reduce them to trophies or temptations. You've watched the dance, the transaction, the game, each side pretending not to know the rules, while secretly keeping score. Schopenhauer didn't play that game. He ripped the mask off. He said, "This isn't romance, it's strategy. This isn't affection, it's biology. You're not in love. You're enslaved by nature, by instinct, by your own refusal to face the ugliness beneath the fantasy." It's brutal, but maybe you've felt the truth of it before. Maybe you've looked at someone you loved and hated the way you needed them. Maybe you've seen the manipulations for what they were, soft, sweet, carefully packaged demands. Maybe you've wondered whether love is just a prettier name for submission. And maybe you've never said any of that out loud because you didn't want to sound bitter. But Schopenhauer didn't care how he sounded. He only cared whether it cut deep enough. And it did. It still does. Even now, his words hang in the air like a bad smell, unwelcome, undeniable. You can't ignore them. You can only ask what you're supposed to do with them. Do you reject them outright, declaring them outdated, hateful, wrong? Or do you let them haunt you for a while, whispering questions you'd rather not answer? Because here's the part no one tells you. Even if you disagree with every word he said, you'll still see glimpses of his truth in the world around you. In the way people date, in the way they marry, in the way they betray each other without even meaning to, in the way society rewards appearances, fertility, youth, in the way it pretends not to, in the way a man might ruin his life for a woman who never loved him and still call it love, in the way a woman might manipulate devotion without ever intending harm, just following the script written in her bones. It's all there, hidden beneath the veneer of equality and choice. Schopenhauer just didn't believe the veneer mattered. He believed in tragedy, in the relentless gravity of suffering. And in that worldview, women became symbols of life's trap, not villains, not monsters, just symbols. Soft-bodied reminders that you are not free. You are part of a cycle of need, of deception, of reproduction, of pain. And yet, even in his despair, there's a weird kind of honesty, a refusal to lie, a refusal to soften the blow. And maybe, just maybe, there's a lesson in that, if not about women, then about clarity. Because whether or not you believe him, you can't pretend you don't feel the tension he pointed to, the battle between what you want and what you wish you wanted, the aching contradiction of needing something you don't trust, the quiet fear that love might not redeem you, but ruin you. That's where this gets real. Not in Schopenhauer's judgments, but in the mirror he holds up, in the mirror that shows you what happens when you strip away the fairy tales. When you stop pretending that desire is pure, that motives are clean, that gender is just a social construct and not, in part, a biological war. He saw that war, he named it, he blamed women for fighting it too well. But maybe the truth is, no one wins it. Maybe you're not meant to. And maybe that's the real horror. Not that Schopenhauer hated women, but that he might have been right about how little control any of us really have. Even over love, even over ourselves. So now you're left with a question. Not, was Schopenhauer right? That's too easy. That's a debate for classrooms and Twitter threads. The real question is this. What does it mean for you to carry a philosophy like this in your head and still live in a world that demands love? Because even if you understand Schopenhauer, even if you feel the weight of his despair in your bones, you still want to be held. You still want to believe in connection. You still want someone to look at you not as a function of biology, but as something sacred, something whole, something chosen. And maybe that's the most human thing about you. Your refusal to give up on meaning, even when someone shows you the scaffolding beneath it. Because Schopenhauer didn't believe in that kind of grace. For him, there was no sacred, only instinct dressed up in delusion. only the will to live, clawing through every gesture, every kiss, every promise. He saw women as agents of that will, not because they were bad, but because they were too good at surviving, too good at getting men to protect them, fight for them, die for them, all without ever saying the words. To him, that wasn't empowerment. That was manipulation perfected by nature. And yet, maybe you can't stop seeing the humanity inside that very manipulation, because you've seen what women endure. You've seen how they're expected to be soft and resilient at the same time. You've seen how they're punished for being too ambitious and discarded for being too passive. You've watched them navigate a world that tells them to be everything and nothing all at once. That's the part Schopenhauer missed, or maybe refused to see. That what he called cunning might also be survival. That what he called frivolous might be strategy. That what he called childlike might be resilience wrapped in a performance just believable enough to get through the day. And whether you're a man or a woman, know what that kind of performance feels like. Because we all play roles, we all smile when we want to scream, we all say we're fine when we're drowning, we all pretend that love will fix the parts of us that are quietly rotting. Schopenhauer didn't believe in that pretending. He believed in pain, in resignation, in stripping the lie from the gesture until only the raw mechanics remained. And you can hear that in his writing. The bitterness, the exhaustion, the strange relief of saying the unsayable. That women are not innocent, that men are not noble, that love is not pure. It's ugly, but it's honest. And maybe you crave that kind of honesty because you're tired of the script, tired of pretending that every connection is authentic, tired of feeling like you're always one step away from being used, betrayed, or misunderstood. That's the shadow Schopenhauer names, and once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. But what do you do with that vision? Do you wall yourself off like he did? Do you stop trusting intimacy altogether? Do you reduce every touch to transaction, every desire to trap, every compliment to strategy? Or do you find another way? A way to hold both things at once, the darkness of truth and the necessity of hope. Because Schopenhauer was right about something most people won't admit. Relationships are never clean. They are always stitched with hunger, fear, need, and compromise, always, no exceptions. But maybe that doesn't make them worthless. Maybe that's what makes them real. You're not here to be perfect. You're not here to transcend your instincts. You're here to understand them, to work with them, to admit that love is not the absence of manipulation, but the choice to keep showing up, despite it. And maybe in that choice, you reclaim what Schopenhauer lost. He believed that suffering was the rule of existence, and that to desire was to be enslaved. But maybe your salvation isn't in escaping desire. Maybe it's in making peace with it. Not by romanticizing it, not by pretending that love is sacred and women are angels and men are heroes, but by seeing it all clearly and choosing anyway. Choosing to love knowing you might be betrayed. Choosing to trust, knowing you might be manipulated. Choosing to see the humanity behind the performance and the performance behind the humanity. Because Schopenhauer gave you the map of despair, but it's up to you whether you stop there. He taught you how to see the shadows, but that doesn't mean you have to live in them. You can hold his truth in one hand and your own in the other. You can say, yes, people are selfish. Yes, biology is brutal. Yes, love is messy and full of compromise. And you can still say, I'm here, I'm choosing this, I'm loving anyway. That's your rebellion, not denial, not delusion, but conscious defiance. And maybe that's the one thing Schopenhauer never considered, that in a world full of manipulation, exploitation, and pain, the most powerful thing you can do is keep loving with your eyes open. Not because it makes you noble, but because it makes you free.